So, recently I watched a movie called Superbad, and I have a few opinions on it. Primarily, I think Michael Cera's character is honestly the worst aspect, which is surprising given that through most of the movie, Jonah Hill is kind of like a massive jackass. But the way I see it, Jonah Hill's character is written the way he is so that he can have an arc. And he does improve. He does, come to terms with the fact that a lot of the reasons he's acting the way he is throughout the movie, and there's all this animosity between the two, is because he's jealous. But the thing is, it's so entirely one-sided because in all of this, Michael Cera's never really done anything to suggest that Jonah Hill is not the whole problem. So it kind of creates this dynamic where Michael Cera is this, blameless entity who just exists to be part of the plot, but doesn't really have an arc. Michael Cera by second one is the same Michael Cera by the end. He in the first point of conflict in the movie, some guy at their school spits at Jonah Hill. Michael Cera does nothing to stop it, and Jonah Hill points out, oh, you didn't do anything, and Michael Cera goes, what do you want me to do? And by the end of the movie, he's effectively the same, which, granted, as the stakes get higher, I mean, they're like with scene with the cops, it makes sense that he wouldn't intervene, but it's pointed out and pointed out again, and it never goes anywhere. And it's not that I think that specific aspect of the plot should have gone somewhere, but I think it's strange that Michael Cera's character doesn't go anywhere. So, that is an issue I have with the movie. Especially given, where I would have rathered probably, because Michael Cera's goal throughout the entire movie is that he wants to, sleep with this girl that he has a crush on. Or at least, no. He wants to, get her drunk and tell her that he likes her. Or something to that effect. And then, the end of the movie, they get to the party. She's there, she's hammered. And she tries to fuck Michael Cera. And he goes, no thank you, and then she pukes. But in the end, he still ends up getting what he wants. Nothing really happens to him other than someone pukes near him. At least in relation to this one specific girl. Obviously, things happen to him throughout the movie, but altogether, he is more or less the same character. I mean, Jonah Hill grows. The other character, who's the actor, I can't remember. Character's name is Fogel. Fogel has his own whole adventure, but, he still has growth. He gains more confidence in himself. But even then, that feels kind of flat because Fogel starts the movie with some measure of confidence, and the audience believes it to be unearned. But over the course of the movie, it's kind of proven that, he is just as badass as his ego in the beginning of the movie would suggest. Because, his fake ID, it doesn't, the one of the scenes at the end of the movie is that the cops he's with throughout the entire time never actually thought he was 25. They knew he was like 16 or whatever they're supposed to be the entire time. Or no, they're seniors, so they'd be like 18. And it's a funny scene. I liked Seth Rogen and Bill Slater's characters. Uh, but it works on the liquor store employee. If it wasn't for an act of God, essentially, with the place getting robbed, it would have succeeded. I mean, the kind of entire movie hinges on that point of because Fogel interacts with the cops. They take him in for questioning. They go on their own whole misadventure. Uh, some guy hits Jonah Hill with his car, and in exchange for not ratting him out to the cops, he takes them to a party. Blah blah blah. Blah. And that's kind of what happens throughout the movie. Those misadventures, and it makes for a very funny movie. That kind of hinges on that one moment. But again, Fogel's unshakable confidence in his fake ID is pretty much justified given that it worked. The liquor store employee believed him. And so he is justified, which again makes Jonah Hill's character just seem like more of an asshole that he doesn't believe Fogel. Because again, the audience is, kind of expected to disparage Fogel with, oh, yeah, because the ID is obviously stupid. It says he's 25, and it says that his name is McLovin. Just McLovin. No middle name, no last name. Which is fucking hilarious, but I digress. The point being, none of the other characters really evolve. Fogel gets fleshed out more, which is good. I honestly would like if there was an entire movie that was just Fogel, Seth Rogen, and Bill Slater just going on like cop adventures. But we don't get that. So, and like Jonah Hill also gets what he wants by the end of the movie, because his plan was to, throughout the movie, he's depicted as this guy who just wants to sleep with anyone. That's his thing. He just wants to sleep with someone. And there's this girl in his home ec class that he's really into who invites him to a party. And this whole kind of scenario is very convenient for the two because Michael Cera lies to the girl that he's into and says he goes to a bunch of parties all the time. After specifically being uninvited from some other asshole's house or house party. And then Jonah Hill tells the girl in his home ec class that he can get alcohol for her party. Because Fogel just got his fake ID, which he's like convinced will not work anyway, but he wants to like impress her. And it's all very convenient for the two, but Michael Cera does his whole thing. Jonah Hill goes through his whole arc, and by the end of the movie, he still like gets the date. It's a very ambiguous ending. They both go on a date with the girl they wanted to go with, but with Jonah Hill, his plan was to basically make a move when she was drunk, because his his idea was that, well, she wouldn't do it if she wasn't drunk, which has problems in its own right, which I do not like. But then again, Jonah Hill is kind of positioned as a very kind of he's a dick, um, and Michael Cera, who again is a pretty flawless character for the most part, uh, points out that he's being an asshole because like he talks shit about the girl that Michael Cera's into, whatever. Um, but Jonah Hill gets to the party. He is hammered because he's been drinking because he wants to be because he's partying, and he walks up to the girl who's hosting the party, and he tries to make a move on her, and she says, "No, you're drunk," which I like. I think it's a good scene. There's a couple good scenes, or like very like healthy, good lessons, but like that. But she says, "No, you're drunk," and Jonah Hill goes, "I thought you were drunk," and she says, "No, I don't drink." And so his plan kind of falls apart, uh, and then he passes out, falls into her, and headbutts her in the face, and she gets a black eye, which you think would help hurt his chances more than it helps, but I guess not. I don't know, not my movie. But and then Fogel's conclusion is that the cop he technically gets laid, and then Seth Rogen and Bill Slater cop walk into the room, catch him by accident because they're like raiding the party, and they're like, "Fogel, we're sorry. We know your ID is fake because it says McLovin on it. Why the fuck did you think that would work? Also, you're blatantly not 25." And so to make up for cock blocking him, they walk him out of the party in handcuffs, in a robe, uh, like thrashing around, talking about like, oh, how like dangerous he is, uh, because just basically just to prove to the entire school that he is like a badass. And I think I don't remember if it's Bill Slater or Seth Rogen that comment like, "You're gonna get so much ass for this," and that was probably my favorite scene. Honestly, anything with Fogel in it is my favorite scene. He reminds me a lot of the character from American Pie, the guy who's into like the more mature guy. But Fogel's great. Honestly, I think the biggest letdown is just Michael Cera, which is weird because Michael Cera's character is a fine character. The problem is that it's a comedy movie. It's a comedy with dramatic elements, and a lot of it is the plot is based around Jonah Hill and Michael Cera's friendship. But and I think part of it is just my general distaste for Michael Cera. I find his voice grating, and he, plays kind of this dweeby loner in most movies, and but in this particular movie, I find him kind of still like he's fine. More I like him more here than I do in Scott Pilgrim, but I just did of the three, I found him the least entertaining because a lot of his jokes that I remember basically just came down to like being meek and or the one scene where he's talking to the girl on the phone and they do the thing where it's like the phone is cutting out, so he's just insulting her, which is weird because normally when you do that joke, the idea is that the other person, responds poorly to you calling them a stupid bitch. But the thing is, the next scene he calls her, she doesn't like remark on it at all, which is I found really weird because I was expecting her to, like, be pissed at him or whatever. But no, she just doesn't acknowledge it, and it was weird. I didn't like that. Meanwhile, at the same time, like, Jonah Hill is, like, getting bled on by a girl, uh, and then, like, tries to steal beer in a Tupperware container. Or not Tupperware. Some kind of, like, liquid detergent. Which, again, I thought was going to be important. I assumed that meant that they were going to get to the party. The beer that he poured in it would be, like, making people sick. Because it has this, like, distinctive blue tint to it. So that would imply that it's all contaminated with laundry detergent. But it's not. Apparent, or at least we never see any consequences for it. Which is weird. Like a weird missed opportunity. Because I was expecting them to, again, I was expecting them to get to the party and then it backfires on them horribly, but whatever. But, or the other scene where Michael Cera's at the party and the guys in the room he's making the call in think he's like someone else's brother who's a singer and he has to sing. And I was expecting Michael Cera to be like the joke to be that he's like a comically bad singer and the other guys are too high to like think about it. But no, he just sings. He's not remarkable, but he can sing, he can hold a tune. And just what's the joke? That it's awkward. I personally don't find that funny, and I think that's why I don't like Michael Cera, because that's what a lot of his roles are, just him being awkward. And I'll make another video about Scott Pilgrim, but Michael Cera as an actor is someone I find remarkably grating. Overall, I'd say I really liked the movie. Again, Michael Cera, kind of drags it down, but Jonah Hill's funny, Fogel's funny, Seth Rogen and Bill Slater are funny, and really they're most of the characters in the movie. It is what it is. And I did say that there were some scenes that I thought were kind of positive. I liked the scene where, or I say that the only other one I can think of is that, like, Michael Cera has a condom and lube, and it's like, you know what? That's, good on. I like that. I like that is pointed out as like just a good practice. And I think more people should follow if you're above the age of 18 for legal reasons. But and I think Fogel gets them at some point. I don't remember if Michael Cera ever gave them to him or he had his own. I couldn't tell if that was like a continuity error or something that was just never established or like a cut scene. So, especially because, okay, but also the thing that I think is weird about Michael Cera having them in the first place is that, okay, so Michael Cera's whole thing is that he wants to use the party as an opportunity to tell the girl he likes how he feels. Okay, but it's weird to me that he would bring condoms, because I don't think his plan ever involved sleeping with her. And granted, I don't think it makes sense for Jonah Hill's character, because the whole point is he's kind of a misogynist asshole. But I think, and it makes sense for Fogel, but why did Fogel not? Why was that scene not with Fogel and Jonah Hill with Michael Cera backing up Fogel, rather than between Jonah Hill and Michael Cera? And I'm sure if I, watch it again or I understood it better, maybe it would make more sense to me. But it just struck me as kind of odd, and I really don't know what to do about it. It is what it is. Uh, Other than that, I think basically everything Fogel ever does is the most iconic line of the movie. Uh, and I want an entire spin-off that is just Fogel, Bill Slater, and Seth Rogen just doing cop things. I honestly I want them to have a TV show. Well, mm, I want a version. Actually, I want correction. I want a version where they don't reveal they know he's underage, so it keeps being like a thing. But also, like, every moment of it was so funny. Uh, like the bit where like Bill Slater is like doing donuts in the cop car, and then they set it on fire. That's amazing. Or I love the scene where like they're shooting a stop sign, and then they hear the cop sirens and they like run away. They get in the car and drive away. It's because they're too drunk to remember that they're the cops. Oh, it's such a good movie. Except Michael Cera. I wish it had been anyone but Michael Cera. And again, I will talk about the Scott Pilgrim movie at some point. I have a lot of opinions on it, but overall, I just generally dislike Michael Cera. That's all.